Probably few people outside Wales, or indeed within Wales, have heard of Ann Griffiths, and yet she is considered to be one of Europe's leading religious poets. She was born Ann Thomas in the spring of 1776 on a farm called Dolwar Fach in the parish of Llanfihangel near the market town of Llanfyllin in Montgomeryshire in north-east Wales. It was in Llanfihangel Parish Church that Anne was christened on the 21st of April 1776. She became mistress of Dolwar Fach at 17 years of age following the death of her mother in January 1794. Her father died 10 years later, in February 1804, leaving her and her brother John to run the farm. At the age of 20, Anne underwent an experience of conversion, joining the Methodist Society in Pont Robert the following year. Following her conversion experience, Anne started composing rhymes and hymns which she would recite to Ruth Hughes, a maid on Dolwar Fach farm. Ruth memorised these works, and they were eventually published by Ruth's husband, John Hughes. This is the Methodist chapel where John Hughes was minister for many years. It was used as a circulating school and by the Reverend Thomas Charles, and John Hughes was one of the teachers there. He worked very hard and by his own strength learnt Hebrew, Latin and Greek, because he had a Welsh-Greek dictionary that was in use. His sermons were very powerful and moved many people. He and his wife, Ruth, lived in the little cottage next door to the chapel, where they had 6 children, and Ruth was Anne's maid and companion, and it was through her oral knowledge of Anne's hymns and poetry, which she told to her husband John, who then wrote them down, and then it was put to music, that Anne's poetry and hymns have been preserved for posterity. The chapel, after he died, John Hughes died, it only lasted 11 years before it had to close, and for some years it remained empty. In October 1804, Anne married a young man of the same age from the next parish, Thomas Griffiths, and that is why she is known as Ann Griffiths, despite the fact that it was as Nancy Thomas that she would have been known by all and sundry for most of her life. On their marriage, Thomas came to join Anne and her brother at Dolwar Fach. Then, 10 months later, in August 1805, Anne died, aged 29, following the birth of a baby daughter, Elizabeth, who was born on the 13th of July and buried on the 31st of July, 2 weeks before her mother. So Ann Griffiths lived throughout her short life in the same farmhouse in northern Montgomeryshire, and was buried within a few miles of that farmhouse at Llanfihangel Parish Church, where she had been christened and married. Anne's writings were all in Welsh. In her 30 poems or hymns she used Old Testament imagery such as the mountain and the cloud, the journey through the wilderness, the river and tree of life. As one writer has said, in them there is such a quality of vision, such an exploration of the heights and depths of human experience, such a statement of the central affirmations of the Christian faith. Anne's most famous hymn amongst Welsh-speaking congregations is Wele'n Sefyll Rhwng Mwrtwydd, Behold, standing among the myrtles, usually sung to the tune Come Rhondda. In the hymn, Anne is full of wonder to see amidst the objects of this world one who is above all these objects. He stands there in the shadows. It will be, oh, such a daybreak, such bright morning, when I shall wake to see him as he is. Great Jesus, I know what I have longed for, him to hold me always. What we see in Anne is someone who only in their mid-20s has looked deeply into the things of eternity and been so dazzled by the splendour of what she has seen that she has no eyes for anything else. Her hymn, Rhyfedd Rhyfedd gan Angylion, has been described as one of the most majestic songs in the religious poetry of Europe. It tells of her wonder, her amazement, that the one who made, preserves and sustains us can lie cradled in a manger and hang between a pair of robbers.